Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm showing you how to use Silhouette Studio to remove layers from layered SVGs that you don't want to cut with your Silhouette machine. This might be particularly helpful if you're looking at making one of my layered animal SVGs. Most of these contain my signature style of flowers and leaves within the body shape. I love adding this in as I think it adds a layer of intricacy and extra elegance to the designs. However, I completely understand that might not be to everyone's taste, and if you're trying to make a more realistic looking animal, you probably don't want the flowers and leaves in them. So this video shows how you can remove them to get a simpler, more realistic design, as well as how to use those same techniques for any layered SVG to get rid of any parts you don't want to cut. If you're using a Cricut machine or a scan and cut machine instead, head to craftwithsarah.com/help. From there, choose your type of machine, and then you'll be able to view a different video that uses your particular type of cutting machine software. But if you're using Silhouette Studio with a Silhouette cutting machine, you are in the right place. So let's get started. Please note that for this video, I'm using the Designer Edition of Silhouette Studio. You'll need at least the Designer Edition or any of the further ones up in order to follow along with this tutorial, and the free version, also known as Basic Edition or Standard Edition, will not be suitable for this tutorial because it doesn't let you open SVG files. Upgrading to the Designer Edition is a one-off cost of around about $40, sometimes a bit more or less, and that's for lifetime access. It's not a monthly or yearly subscription, and it will give you so many more options for your crafting and make it so much easier, especially if you're working with layered cardstock projects that have lots of pieces to them. To load the SVG file, go into File and then Open. Find the file on your computer and make sure if you've downloaded it as a zip folder that you've unzipped that folder. If you're looking at one of my files and you see all of these different options, you can use either option 2, 3, or 4 for this tutorial, but I find option 2, layers stacked, to be the easiest. This comes with all the layers one on top of the other, so it looks like a finished picture, which means when we are removing the layers, we'll know what the final design will look like. Whereas with 3 and 4, all the layers are separate on the screen, so it makes it a little bit harder to see what you're doing. If you're using one of my older files and you don't see all of these folders, then use the file which starts SVG in the file name. That's the same equivalent of this layer stacked version. So I'll go in there and then select the SVG file, which is the one that starts SVG at the beginning. And this is what it looks like. And zoom out a little, using the arrows along the top. And then just because I find it a little bit easier, I'm going to go to the document setup and change my media size to 12 by 12. I just find it a little bit easier to work with when the whole thing is white. So this is the design. It looks like a picture, but it does have all the layers separate. You can see that by going into the layers panel down here on the bottom left, and then open up, and then that's got all the pieces in. And as you click through each one, that will select that particular layer. Removing the flower and pattern layers is fairly straightforward with most of the designs. You can just click and drag, and then either just move it outside of the mat and don't cut it out, or you can delete it by pressing the delete key on your keyboard when you've got it selected. And then I could do the same for that one. Click it to get the box around it and press delete. And just by doing that and taking out 2 simple layers, the parrot's looking a lot more realistic. It's looking a little bit strange now around the feet and body area because these 2 layers are the same colour. The feet are still a separate piece, it's just hard to see. To make it a little bit easier to see all the different pieces, you can drag a box around everything, and then in this little option up here on the left, click into it and press the black option, and that will add a thin black line around all of the layers. It won't cut out that line, it just makes it so that you can see all the pieces better. So we can now see the separation of the feet here. This is looking good, but you might want to go one step further and take out these shapes in the head. So I can drag this piece away and then select this one. Go to the colour picker down here on the left and choose that original colour to put it back to the right colour. And then delete that one. And there we go. In just a couple of clicks, we've ended up with a design that is ready for us to start separating out the colours so that we can cut it. I have a separate video on how you would go from this on the screen to actually getting it ready to cut and cutting it out from cardstock with your Silhouette machine. To find that video, go to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose Silhouette from the machine selection, and then look for the video which is how to cut layered cardstock designs on a Silhouette machine. Let's take a look at another example. This time I've loaded the Basset Hound design available from my shop or the Craft with Sarah membership onto the screen. Once again, I've used the 02 version, which is the stacked version of the file with all the layers one on top of each other, so it looks like the finished design. There are a few more flower layers in this one to get rid of. If you like this design but you'd prefer to see a different type of dog, head to craftwithsarah.com/products, select dogs under the themes option in the left-hand side filters, and from there you'll be able to choose from over 200 different dog breeds. Or if cats are more your thing, there's a wide selection of cat designs too, as well as horses, reptiles, fish, small pets, pretty much any animal you can think of. When you're working with layers where the pattern layer very closely matches the one underneath, for example on this one, the body layers along the edge of the flowers match the creamy coloured layers underneath, it's sometimes easier to work directly with the layers panel. So I can click into the layers panel here. You might need to click plus icons if you can't see the list of all the numbers, and then this will show them all to you in order. Layer 1 will be the very bottom layer, which is the creamy coloured one. So I don't want that one, I want layer 2. I can click on layer 2 and then press this minus and it will delete it. And then I could use that to work out the next one. So layer 3 will be the one underneath this pale colour again. So I could click layer 4 and delete. Or you can click and drag to make sure it's the correct one and press the delete key on your keyboard. So just like that again, I've got rid of those 4 layers. The flowers are now all gone and my Basset Hound is looking a little bit more realistic. One of the benefits of removing the pattern layers is that it means that the designs are much easier to cut at a smaller size. With all those flowers, cutting it super teeny tiny on your Silhouette may be quite difficult. But now all of these shapes are quite simple and easy for the machine to cut, so you can make this really small, perhaps to make as a fridge magnet or to go on a small greetings card or in a scrapbook or something like that. Let's take a look at another example and then I'll actually cut that one out to show you how it can be done really small. This little design is perfect for Halloween with the cat poking at the top of the jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. If you were to cut this at around 5 inches or bigger on the width, this would be okay to cut with all of these patterns. But if you wanted to make it much smaller than that, these leaves and the little wave design inside the cat will start to become a little tricky as the edges will get very thin. Or maybe you're in a hurry and you want to make a craft project but you don't have a lot of time. These pattern and detail layers do take quite a long time to cut, so you could remove them to speed up the project. And of course it means you'll need less colours of cardstock and less sheets of cardstock, so it'll be a more economical project to make too. Or even if you just prefer the look of it without the patterns, that's another great reason for taking them away. So for this one, first I'll drag away this one, click it and delete, and then I'll do the same. That was the wrong one. Might need to do this one from the layers panel. Nope, I managed to grab it. All right, the lighter yellow one, let's delete that one. And then the pattern layer in the cat, and also the little details around the top of the pumpkin and the stalk. He's now looking a little bit strange because his paws are black, but the body is in a dark grey. I'm going to be cutting this at just 3 inches tall, very, very small, and I think the circles in the paws will be a little hard to cut. So let's move these out the way and then take the paws and colour pick them with the colour picker tool down here to that black colour, like that. And then I'll also colour pick the cat too to make him black instead of dark grey, and then delete those 2 paw pieces. So this is now much simpler and easier to cut, and I could select the whole thing and I'll cut one at the original size and make a copy, and this one I will do very, very small. So let's group the layers over here and then change the height to 3 inches tool. So you can see there's going to be a bit of a difference between them. I'll get those cut out and also cut out one of the original ones with the patterns, and then we can see what they look like when they're displayed next to each other. Here's what the pumpkin cat looks like cut out and stuck together with all of the original layers and patterns on it. Cut everything out for this one, and you can see that it's cut beautifully along all of those patterns because this is quite a large sized paper craft, so it makes it easy for the cutting machines to do all of those extra details. Let's compare it to one that's also been cut at a large size, but this time it doesn't have any of those details on. So this is the simplified version that we just made in the software tutorial. They both look absolutely gorgeous, but this one cut a lot quicker than this one because I didn't have to do all these decorative parts, and that's the parts that really takes the time if you're cutting out. So if you're in a rush, doing something like this can mean you still end up with a gorgeous papercraft project, but it takes probably around half the time, if not more than that, to cut. And I did promise a tiny version too to show how the plainer version looks really small. So here we go. It's very, very tiny, just 3 inches tall and cut beautifully. It had a little bit of trouble sticking those little dots in the eye on, but apart from that, everything was lovely. And just look at the size difference between those two. All right, so now you've learned how to remove layers from layer cardstock designs and how to simplify the designs so that you can make them really, really small. For the last part of this tutorial, let's take a look at how you can do those same tricks of removing layers, but also use that to reduce the colours so that if you don't have all the colours that you need in a design, you can work it out to make the most of your existing craft supplies. For the final part of this tutorial, let's take a look at this Zentangle lion design. This one's a little bit more complex than the other designs we've looked at in this video, as there are more layers in this one and also lots of very similar colours. Instead of the flowers and leaves, there's a Zentangle pattern over some of the headpieces. If you don't have this many colours of similar shades of card, then you may wish to simplify the colours in the design so that you can use up less shades. We'll see how to do that in this section. This time we're going to take a look at all the different colours that the design contains. To do that, go to Edit along the top and then Select by Colour. Click where it says By Fill, and that lists out all the colours in this particular design. So at the moment you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different colours. Quite a lot, and some of them are very, very similar. Let's try and reduce that and also take out some of the patterns. Okay, so first, easy things, we'll take out all the Zentangle bits and delete them. That hasn't actually got rid of any colours because that same colour is also used in this little bit in the ears. I don't think we need this layer in the main. It still looks lovely with just those two, so we could delete that one. It can help to zoom in so you can see everything a little clearer. At the moment, there are 2 creamy colours in this design, one doing this little bit under the eyes and the other doing this bit up here. I think the one in the eyes would look just as lovely in this colour, so I've clicked that to select it, and then I'll colour pick it to that lighter colour. And the same on the other side. That's got rid of one colour now, so now we're down to 10. The yellow in the eyes could also be changed, I think, to this colour. Yeah, that still looks really nice. He's still got nice piercing eyes on him. Not quite as bright and vibrant as the yellow, so you may wish to keep that one. But as we're trying to get as few colours as possible, I think that is a nice little compromise. You'll see when it's all cut out how that looks and how it compares to the one with the yellow. We could remove this pinky colour by changing the dark brown around the edge of the nose to black. And then this bit along the top, we could change to dark brown. That's now got rid of one more colour. This little bit in the ears, in that darker gold, we've already got rid of everything else that was that colour. So we could then change this one, perhaps to that colour. And again, that's got rid of one more. So now we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colours instead of 11, which is much better. What I'm going to do is cut this version of the line out and also cut out one of the original ones with all the extra colours and those Zentangle details, and then we can compare the two and you can see which one you prefer. Here's what the original lion looks like with all of the patterns and all of the different colours. So this is how it looked right at the beginning before I did anything to it. I've stuck it together with glue and foam squares following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder. This is really, really lovely. I love how it really feels like he's looking at you. The depth that you get in the face really helps for those piercing eyes to be coming out. But what about the simplified version? Does it still have that same effect? Well, I would say it definitely does. So this is the version after I removed those layers and combined some of the colours together so it needed less sheets of card and less different individual colours. I think generally I prefer the colours of card that I used for this one. This is a much richer kind of yellowy browny colour than the one on this one. But even just looking at them next to each other, they look completely different with the stylised version and the much more realistic looking version, but both are still absolutely stunning and a wonderful and fun project to make. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to customize SVGs in Silhouette Studio to remove layers that you don't want to cut. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for lots more Silhouette tutorials. If there's something in particular that you'd like to see, leave me a comment on this video. For even more Silhouette videos from this series, head to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose Silhouette from the machine options, and then you'll see all the tutorials listed. Or for over 100 free SVGs you can use with your Silhouette machine, head to craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!